Hello, and welcome to Ranger Stories. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I'm the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is the show where I read things that I'm writing in the Jump Rangers universe and probably edit and discuss them for your viewing pleasure. Today, we're reading Jump Rangers, a Game Called Conquest, Chapter 21. If you'd like to catch up on previous episodes of Ranger Stories, you can find those episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/at Jump Rangers. Before we get started, I'm going to tell you that I actually finished the rough draft of the book. We're going to finish editing it here. And once that edit is done, I'm going to share it around with some people that I know that edit professionally for some feedback and help in shaping the story and making sure that we have something that actually works for readers. I'm pretty excited. Jump Rangers is coming together in some pretty definitive ways. We have the production design taking shape in the hands of Federico Estevao, who is our art director and currently our concept artist. And I'm excited by what we're getting done there. We're getting some key art made even as we speak. And once all that's done, wait a second. Somebody's discording me. No, they're discording somebody else. Okay. Once that's done, we're going to be pushing forward with the overall designs for the book. One of the ideas of designing the book the way that we are is that we're not going to have to rebuild everything when we do animation, when we do comics. Everything's going to be right there. It's going to be ready to use. So the idea is to come up with a look for Jump Rangers and with ideas for the vehicles and the world building and the environments and such, where we're always building on something. We're never starting from scratch because it doesn't quite work for the medium that we're in. And a tabletop role-playing game is a really effective way of establishing a design bible. So we're trying to make sure that we don't waste that opportunity. Federico's been doing a fantastic job. I am expecting some opportunities to pay him more than I have in the new year. I'm excited about that. And in the meantime, there's a lot of stuff happening in screenwriting. So um, I think it's going to be an exciting year. Happy New Year is what I'm saying. Let's not dally any further. Let's go ahead and read this chapter. Smuggling Commander Pax is out of the Undercity wouldn't have taken us all that long, except for the fact that he twisted his back in the crash. Not every undersore in Dragon City was joining the revolt that Admiral Paxis had kindled, but the ones who weren't were far too preoccupied to be hunting a couple of humans around. I said Undercity twice. So, through the sewers. Of the Saurian capital. In the din of war, we managed to steal a pair of pterodactyls from an undercity animal market. Riding on the winged lizards, who seemed plenty happy to be getting away from the chaos around them, we climbed down into the ruins of Dragon City before making our way up into the skies along the outskirts of the Saurian capital. Before taking flight closer to the outskirts. And crawled through the, what's another word for ruins, right? So, riding on the winged lizards, who seemed plenty happy to be getting away from the chaos around them, we climbed down into the forgotten ruins of Dragon City. and away from the capital before taking flight closer to the outskirts. And away from the city center before taking flight closer to the outskirts of the Saurian capital. Flying out over the wasteland of Soros is always a little sad. Wrecked motherships, leaky trash, and industrial waste marinate into corrosive swamps that cover the that marinate into expansive corrosive swamps until the air itself will choke you. Moving across the surface of Soros, moving across the open surface of Soros is only possible in your environment suit, and we must have looked like quite a sight, all suited up and skimming the wasteland mountains and muck on our pterodactyls. Almost bird-like, pterodactyls are primal creatures with bony arms and feet, skinny wings and tails, long beak-like mouths for snatching prey off the ground, and crests of bone that extend back off their heads like rudders for turning. A pterodactyl looks like a creature from fantasy or from the long since forgotten history of Earth. Look like a creature from fantasy or from the forgotten history of Earth. A pterodactyl looks like a creature from fantasy. Riding them in our high-tech jumpsuits felt like we were breaking some strange kind of unwritten rule, and I liked it. Deep in the vast abandoned Octonia mines of Soros, Deep Down Base hides behind a series of blast doors by which fighters and transports can access the mine shafts to the planet's surface. Finding our way down, we alighted on the landing pad outside the blast doors. None of the guards and technicians who manned those massive steel gates were ready. None of the guards or technicians ready to see a pair of pterodactyls waiting to get in. Fortunately for us, they were even less ready to keep Commander Sudropaxis waiting. This is some of these chapters I feel like I kind of rushed through, but they're not bad. There's going to be work. There's going to be work to do, and I think as we get towards the very end, I mean, I wrote the last 4 chapters in one sitting. I have no question that there's going to be editing and things to talk about. But I'm enjoying this. Once we were inside, the sergeant and I convinced the scout captain at Deep Down Base to give the pterodactyls a home. Letting them go wasn't an option because now they knew their way to Deep Down Base. If those pterodactyls ever led an undersoar back to those hangar doors, or just delete that. Because if those pterodactyls ever led an undersoar back to those hangar doors, Dragon City would send every exterminator they have. Dragon City would send every exterminator they have. Neither the sergeant nor Mice would let the guards put the pterodactyls down, so we found some scouts who were willing to learn to ride them. Instead, we found some scouts who were willing to learn to ride them. Still. Okay. There's too much words there. Once we were inside, the sergeant and I convinced the scout captain at Deep Down Base to give those pterodactyls a home. If the pterodactyls ever led an undersoar back to the hangar doors of Deep Down, convinced a scout captain. Still, okay. Once we were inside, the sergeant and I convinced a scout captain to give those pterodactyls a home. The pterodactyls ever led an undersoar back to the hangar doors of Deep Down Base. Dragon City would send every exterminator they have. Still, neither the sergeant nor I would let the guards put the pterodactyls down. Instead, we found some scouts who were willing to learn to ride them. While the commander made his way to the governor's office, the sergeant and I started teaching the scouts of Deep Down everything we knew about pterodactyl riding. Some rangers will tell you that the scouts of Planet Soros are even better than the ones at Pax Space. Working with them would be a lot of fun, but really the sergeant and I were just procrastinating. Neither of us wanted to have our meeting with Sudro and Arden Paxis. Up in the governor's office, the grown-ups were waiting for us. When we got there, Commander Sudro Paxis and Admiral Arden Paxis were joined by Governor Talon Nurses. Of all the leaders out there in the colonies, Governor Nurses has a tough reputation with the Saurian horde. Her husband died in an extermination raid, and she's always seen the fight to survive as an us or them situation. My hope was that giving the Saurians a big distraction, something far away from Soros to worry about, would strike her as good for the colony. My worry was that maybe her whole life has been about revenge, and the idea of letting the Spore do our fighting for us would deny her the satisfaction she's been looking for. On any normal day, the command center at Deep Down Base has a massive scratched up window overlooking the hangar base. On any normal day, that's what it is. I think I probably started one sentence and finished another. Inside the command center of Deep Down Base, a massive scratched up window overlooks the hangar base. Down below, Pegasus spacefighter patrols are constantly taking it off and landing, flying through the hulking hangar doors and into the mining tunnels that lead to the surface of planet Soros. Beside the windows, screens and workstations monitor and control all the workings of the base itself. Technicians manage the power generators, the air filters, the crews in the hangar that keep the patrols coming and going, and the scouts in the field who are constantly spying on Dragon City and everything else that might have an impact on the safety of the colonists. Now, with the Admiral's campaign against the Saurian capital underway, the command center had become a war room. Hmm. Okay. So, inside the command center of Deep Down Base, a massive scratched up window overlooks the hangar base. Down below, Pegasus spacefighter patrols are typically taking off and landing, flying through the hulking hangar doors and into the mining tunnels that lead to the surface of planet Soros, beside the windows, and so on and so forth. Now, with the Admiral's campaign against the Saurian capital underway, the command center had become a war room. Tactical displays projected holographic images of Dragon City and of the USC cavalry, the Admiral's spacecraft carrier. With a massive runway built into the hull that leads into a hangar with launch tubes embedded in the underside of the hull, the spacecraft carrier is constantly spitting out Pegasus and Hercules spacefighters and sucking them back in. With a stolen Saurian mothership accompanying the cavalry's battle fleet, the mothership dangerous, the warships are sweeping the space around them for Saurian scouts and saboteurs. Looking at the hologram of Dragon City, I could see the Saurians had their hands full. Much of the Saurian capital was in flames. Dragons and Pegasus spacefighters buzzed around the city, shooting missiles and disruptor blasts into the Saurian center of power. Fighters from the city were chasing the attackers off as best they could. Gouts of flame lashed out from disruptor turrets as the city's defenses blasted away at the attacking fighters. You know what I didn't see in the command center? I didn't see any undersoars. After all the stories people have been telling about Admiral Paxis and the Undersoul Rebellion, you'd think there'd be some of them around. Not in my command center. That's what Governor Nursey said to us. After all they'd done for the Admiral and for the colonies, even going so far as to help the Admiral build his jump drives, the Governor didn't trust them with the location of Deep Down Base. Walking us through the bustle of the command center, the Governor led us into her office. Shooting the Sarge and myself a suspicious glare, she closed the door. From the chairs surrounding the Governor's desk, Admiral Arden Paxis and Commander Sudro Paxis watched the Sarge and I. With a deep breath, the Admiral leaned forward. I hear the two of you have a plan for Earth. That's right. We do. And it's a plan that's been proven to work against the Saurians. It's a plan that puts no human lives at risk apart from the Sarge's and my own. Although we sure could use some help if you're willing to offer it. Those are big promises you're making. I'm not promising results, but I think the Sarge and I have a very good chance of making this work. I think we can just delete that. Step by step, I lay out how the Sarge, Scrap, and I would move the spores from the hive on planet Mist to the surface of Earth. I offered the observation that tying up the Saurian defenses of planet Earth would give the hives time to spread and grow. Every spore we bring to Earth has dormant larvae trapped inside, and one of those larvae will grow into a queen. Once the queen has grown and built her hive and started spreading spores of her own, the infection will have spread beyond the control of the Saurian horde. Maybe they can slow it down, and maybe they'll be able to take a few extra loads of metal or water from our world, but they'll be out of time. Either they will leave or they will be destroyed. Or I'm just going to say they will be eaten. Either they will leave or they will be eaten. Either they leave or they get eaten. By the time the spore has finished the work of cleansing Earth and cleaning up all the pollution and mess, the galaxy will be different. Maybe we'll be able to defend ourselves. Maybe there won't even be a Saurian Empire. No matter what the circumstances are, Earth will have a second chance. I know that you've got a friend in your pocket who can take you out of this room and maybe halfway across the galaxy the moment you get scared. I know that, so I don't want to scare you, okay? I just want to ask you a question. What's the question, Admiral? You've gathered some impressive resources to make this plan work. You found a way to move people and resources across huge distances. You found a way to eliminate the Saurian threat on any world you choose. What makes you so sure that bringing the spore to Earth is the best tactical use of those resources? We're not here to win the war. We're not looking for the best tactical use. We asked for help, and this is the help we've been offered, and it can save our homeworld. We asked for help to save our homeworld. And this is the help we've been offered. Why not bring the spore to Soros? It would win the war. I think I screwed that up. Why not bring the spore to Soros? Why would we bring the spore to Soros? It would win the war. We're not trying to win the war. If we don't win the war, what's to stop the Saurian horde from just coming back as soon as the Earth is vulnerable again? We'll have 10,000 years to find an answer to that question. I'm not saying that bringing the spore to Soros is the answer. I'm not convinced it isn't. Either. I'm not convinced it isn't. But if someone's going to have to wait out that kind of time away from their homeworld, if someone's going to have to spend that kind of time away from their homeworld, shouldn't it be them? Why shouldn't it be them? Okay, we're going to fix this a little bit. This is their homeworld. They can do what they want with it. Earth is our homeworld. What we do with it is up to us. Wrench. Major. What I'm trying to explain to you is that the Saurians don't see things that way. I know that. What you've done here is remarkable. You found allies that are willing to provide us with weapons that can win this war. All we need to do is put those weapons into the hands of someone willing to use them. We're not here to win this war, Admiral. We're trying to get you out of it. For a moment, the Admiral sized us up. Taking a breath, he opens his hands. What happens when I don't think that getting out of this war is the right thing to do? There's a lot of people who are going to die if you don't. Hmm. There's a lot of people who died already. If I walk away now, what did they die for? They died because it was the best. This is all too much. We're just going to go ahead and fast forward. So we're going to back up. What happens when I don't think that getting out of this war is the right thing to do? Looking the Admiral in the eyes, the Sarge blurts out a response. People trust you because you live by the code. Once upon a time, you were a jump ranger. Once upon a time, you did the things that people needed you to do without thinking about what it meant for your career or your name or whatever this is. Now, we don't need that. We don't need all that. Once upon a time, you were a jump ranger. That's why people followed you. This isn't the code, Admiral. If people knew all this, if people knew what you're doing, if people knew what you're doing now, would they keep following you? Suddenly cold, the Admiral looked straight through the Sarge. Are you threatening me, kid? Ease up, Admiral. We're here to ask for your help. Uh, okay. We're just going to go ahead and fast forward because this conversation is taking too long. People knew what you. Okay, this isn't the code, Admiral. That's it. That's all he needs to say. And then the Admiral taking a breath. The Admiral considers the sergeant and I. Considers the two of us. Considers the sergeant and I. Handing these weapons to me is the only responsible thing you can do. What is it going to take to make you see that? Just the fact that you can make us see anything is. Hmm. Okay, this is okay. So okay. Scrutinizing my face, the Admiral saw my response before I had a chance to say it out loud. Flipping a switch in a remote he'd been concealing in his hand, the Admiral set off a shrieker, a sonic weapon he'd hidden in the governor's office. Instantly, everything was sound. My head felt like it was exploding. Blood started running down my nose, off my lip, and onto my jumpsuit. I don't have any memory of what happened to us after that. And that is the end of chapter 21. We cut out about a page of material here, and it was a good choice. It was a good choice, and I'm happy with it. We kind of talked about where Jump Rangers is at the beginning of this blog. I'm excited for the year. I think it's going to be really good. I hope you follow along. I hope people join us for the next Ranger stories. There's going to be plenty to cut through. Once we finish with a game called Conquest, we're going to move on to the Lightning Job, which is the one-shot adventure with all the supplementary material about the loom packed in. There's a lot of good stuff in that book. We're going to edit that, and then we're going to start editing the data decks. I'm running Metagame right now on Saturdays, which is a Jump Rangers game with Federico Estivao and with my wife Ippy Looney. Both of them are working on the project, and every so often, like we did with Lucinda Bruce, our producer, we're going to have other people working on the project come in and sort of guest jump range, guest jump. Um, so that's good. I'm going to get another game started as well, and there's a couple people that I'd like to invite, and we'll see how that comes together. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be plenty of content, is what I'm saying. We also have Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time here on this Twitch, on twitch.tv/Jump Rangers. We have a new stream called The Rangers Roost, which is a chat. It's just an opportunity to talk about what's going on with Jump Rangers, what's happening in geek culture. I will try to talk about Star Citizen as little as possible for the sake of all of my friends out there who are tired of hearing me speak about it. We'll just talk about other things. We can talk about Marvel and Disney and DC and all kinds of stuff. Um, and how Jump Rangers kind of fits into the puzzle of where the media is going, at least in my mind. So join me for that, 10 a.m. Monday morning Pacific time. Let's start the week off right. And we have everybody confirmed for Metagame on Saturday, which is at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time here at twitch.tv/Jump Rangers. Thank you for joining me. Don't be a stranger, Ranger. I'll see you next time.